Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly Noyantis Usergroup meeting. Today is the 2nd of November 2020. Myself and John are your hosts. Apologies for the audio this week and the delayed start. A couple of technical problems. Basically, here in the UK, I'm sure everybody has their own solutions. Here in the UK, our mobiles are running an application called Track and Trace, which basically send an automatic Bluetooth ping out constantly, basically to see where you go and so on and so forth, to see if you actually go close to anybody else who's got COVID. And basically, we went out last Wednesday, and there was just myself, my wife, and my daughter stayed together, and so on and so forth. Went to the pub for literally a couple of drinks, and went home. But on Friday, the Track and Trace app triggered, saying that somebody on the Wednesday night in that pub had demonstrated had since been tested for COVID, which means that you have to self-isolate. So ultimately, we have to stay home. You're not allowed to leave your home for 14 days. If you do, when you're caught, you get £10,000 fine. Which, funnily enough, nobody wants to get fined that kind of money. So yeah, so I am at home, even though perfectly fine. I've already had COVID. We think back in April. So I'm having to self-isolate. So apologies for that, but we shall do the webinar the best we can. Let me log into the work machine. 1 second. Oh, I hope this works. Oh, we really have got problems. John, I take it you can hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you fine.
Okay, good. Great. Why is this not connecting? Let's kill it and start it afresh. Sorry about this, people. Won't be a second. Oh, it's because I was already on there. That's why. Do my toggle timer. Anyone who watched the Friday webinar a few weeks ago would know what we're chatting about with that. Okay, so a little different than normal, but let's see what we can do. So questions. I don't see any questions yet, but as always, if anyone's got any questions or queries, feel free to get your mics, get your questions in. We'll get the mics opened and we'll cover the content. I know Leo is here, and Leo had a question regarding the report control in TrackBar View. So Leo, I'm going to open the mic up. Hi Leo, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Very good. Okay. So,
we have discussion about the skipping Sunday and Saturday.
That's right, yeah. Have you got your speakers on loud? Because I can hear myself quite loud.
Just a moment.
Okay. Well,
we have discussion last webinar for skip Saturday and Sunday.
That's fine. I'll just mute yourself, but if you need us, raise your hand and we'll get the mic back open again. I'm just getting a bit of feedback on the mic.
It's a lot of noise.
Yes.
Hello, Mike. Can you hear you?
I'll just mute you just 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So what we were discussing there is it was the report control in TrackBar View. I'm just going to see if we can find the example. And I think we're actually going to put this into our latest demo application. So the challenge was Leo wanted to basically show, I think it was 2 weeks. We were going to do a little more, but we were going to show a couple of weeks in the TrackBar view, but we wanted to exclude the Saturday and the Sunday. And we did it towards the end of the webinar, either last webinar or the one before. And to be honest, it did drag on and we ran into a problem. So as always, you think about it when you leave the webinar, and of course I thought of a solution. So what we're trying to do, for anybody else who's not seen the particular control, it was something like this. We wanted a track bar, but we wanted to miss out the Saturday and Sunday. Now the problem we had is we can intercept the painting of this to display the correct days, which of course is fine, but the problem comes that we can't reset an internal counter, if you will, to track where they are on this and how many resets. So that's the kind of approach we tried to do. So the solution I came up with for Leo was, okay, Leo also needs to load data for the particular dates. So what I thought was, because he only wants like 2 weeks, if you will, what we could do is just basically create, you could do a queue if you don't know how many days you want to do. In Leo's case, we want to do, I think we said 2 weeks. So I'm going to actually do that, the equivalent of 2 weeks for him. So I'm going to actually create 2 dimensions. Basically, there's 2 fields, both dimensions, and we'll do them as one is the actual date, so you'll be able to use that for the date of the data he needs to load, and the other will be the actual screen, that screen title, if you will, for that day that we want to display. So basically, I'm going to have that. Wait 1 second, get my keyboard. I'm going to have it as LV date, and it's going to be a date. So Leo, you'll be able to use this, and we'll have a dimension and well, 2 weeks, but it wants to be 2 working weeks. So there's 10. And there's your dates, and there's your, I'm going to have titles. Actually make it a little bigger than we need, something like that. And again, that wants to be a dimension. So what I'll do in here, during the init, we're going to calculate our particular days. That's just something for the screen. That's not really bothered about that. So we will have our five dates. So we want to go 1 to 14 potentially, but we might be breaking earlier than that, depending on where we are. The starting date. If they start it on a Saturday, you want to skip that immediately. If they start it on a Monday, then you want to use that immediately. So we're going to say for 1 to 14 by 1. We want to know the date. So basically, if today plus counter -1, of course. Odds of 7. So basically, if that date is a Saturday or a Sunday, we want to skip it. If not, we want to put it in. So basically, if enlist that, and it's either, now a Saturday is Mondays are what first into it. So if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if it's in there, that's what we're after. And what I will just do is we'll just have LV add counter. So we'll set that to 0. So basically, go through for 1 to 14 if today, plus the particular increment that we're on. If it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday, then that's good. We're after that. So we'll say our add counter plus equals 1. LV dates of the LV add counter. Oops. Wants to equal basically today plus. So basically start it today and then so on and so forth. And what do we call the other? The LV titles. So we want to be that date at D17. And I don't want to necessarily show all of that, so I'll say the sub of that 1 to 5. Okay, so we get the idea. We also need to trap inside of that make sure we don't go past the 10 for the array. Okay, so that should give us basically what we want. In fact, shall we just message those out just to be on the safe side? Leo, I'll keep an eye on the question box, and I'll open the mic in a second just to check you're following. Oops. Okay, we'll quickly run that. We're expecting the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, not the 7th, not the 8th, and then the 8th, and then the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we'll just quickly check that. Second, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, yeah. Not the 7th, not the 8th, then the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th, and that's it. So that's good from that point of view. We know our arrays are initialized. We'll now go to our report control. Appearance, track view. That's fine. Numeric increment, we're going to use custom paint level labels. And it's going to be from 1 to 10, because that's ultimately our dimensions of our array that we want. And the viewport can just show maybe 1 to 4 to start with, so we can see exactly. So it'll be scrollable of what we can see. that will get us that part. The only next bit we need to do is inside of the report control where it's painting the label. And this is where we had problems last time. So let's get rid of all that. And I'm just going to literally just say this wants to be our LV titles and the param position, which is 1 and then 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. Let's take a look at that. Oh, I've got to take the stop out. Sorry about that. Okay. So we've got the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. Okay, let's get the mic open. We did get a bit of background noise. Back off, Leo, but let's just open the mic. So, Leo, did that make sense?
Yes, this is okay. This is good for me.
That's it.
Excellent.
We've just fixed that to 10 working days, but of course we have to allow for the 14 just in case where you're starting and so on. But if you wanted to parameterize that, so on the screen, you didn't fix it to that, you fixed it to a number that the user could select. So maybe they want to have a look at it for the next 4 weeks or 5 weeks. And instead of using a dimension field, I would use a queue and just have 2 fields in there. A queue, one is the date and one is the title that you want to display. You still prime it up very similar to we just had a second ago, but instead of adding it to a dimension field, you'd add it to a queue. And in the painting, because we are basically the minimum range and the maximum range is going to be any number. So if you, let's say hypothetically the user wanted 31 days, then you could set the max range to 31 and you would be able to scroll between the 1 and the 31, just prime up the queue accordingly, and that's it. In the paint, all you'd have to do, that would get on the position in the queue.
Okay.
So there's a couple of ways you can do it, but for your requirements which you described, I've used a dimension, but quite easily you could use a queue instead. The queue gives you better flexibility, but only if it's required.
Okay.
Now I know you'll need that in a Clarion 8, won't you? So I'll do that in a Clarion 8 example and send it across to you.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Are you working any progress in drag and drop future?
No, not yet. But the one good point, I suppose, because I've got to self-isolate, and even though I touch wood, I'm not going to get it, and I feel perfectly fine, and I've already had it, and all that stuff. Because I've got to self-isolate, I'm working from home. You don't get as many distractions as you do in the office. So I'm actually hoping, I'm actually hoping it goes in my favour, and I get to play a bit of catch up on a lot of the templates. So the one thing you can kind of expect, and this is for the overall suite, is you can expect the a few updates come out this coming week while I just tidy up some of the outstanding workload.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Bill's just asked a question. I'm just trying to get my mouse. Sorry, 1 second. Bill's just said about a track bar, so let's go to Bill. Where are we? The mic's open if you got a microphone, Bill. But Bill's question is, while you're on the track bar, what is the best way to display the dates in a format, e.g., DD, not showing the year? Well, that's what I just did there. It all comes down to this custom label, and you can change the. I'm getting hearing me again. But yes, basically it's the param label, and you notice when I was priming up those dates, I just did a sub I use a D17, so it's kind of universal date. And I just did a sub on that 1 to 5. So that when you get to see it, let's take that stop command out. Then you just see the days and the months. Just looks a little neater. Like so.
Oh yeah, that's much better. I was just trying to find out the best way to get that space without them overlapping like they were with the full.
That's
full
it.
floor.
Well, yeah, when you go into the date, one, that's a massive range. So really that should be the viewport, the view part of it should be a lot smaller. Because obviously if you make that bigger, then they do overlap each other as you would expect. And the other is you could just customize that. So even in that example, let me just see about changing that example. So where's the bar? The track controls, date scale. So let's have a quick look at the scale first. Appearance track. The numeric, we're using custom. Okay, yeah, got that. So basically the increment, the actual values are going to be a date value. They're going to be today minus 60 days and today forward 60 days. So the actual param position which gets passed is going to be a true Clarion date. So we can just take that, and instead of that, I could just say, instead of formatting that date into a D17, I'll just say it's the sub of that 1 to 5. So basically, all I'm doing there is just manipulating the label. And I'm also saying I'm only putting the date every, it looks like a Sunday. If it's not a Sunday, I'm leaving it blank. So if we just take a look at that date example now, and we haven't changed the scale, so we really should do from an example point of view, but it shouldn't look as crowded anyway. Yeah, that looks automatically, it looks better because you're just
that's
like
much better.
Week commencing. So yeah, that's a nice, good question and a nice tip we covered there. So, and
Thanks.
no problem. As I said, we're going to get some more updates out. I do quite work like working in isolation for 10 days or so. That'd be quite nice. But one of the updates, report control again, it gets a lot of love. But the other templates I get to some, so don't worry. But it was one of the examples. I'll use good old schedule it. Oh, actually, that's Turando. This is another application we're just working on. I've pinched the screen off that. Typical type screen. But one thing I wanted to point out was the report control. While I was working on this and another product which used the report control and had quite a lot of rows, and I know John, you had a speed question regarding the rows. The one in question had to load quite like a job list, if you will, quite a few records, as in the thousands of records, and it did seem slower than it needed to be. Obviously, we've done some optimizations in the past, and they've all helped. So I thought I'd take another look at optimizing it, and I did notice it was passing through the calculate totals when it didn't need to. The actual algorithm for calculating the totals was kind of correct, but it was doing it unnecessarily. And it manifested itself. I can't show that particular system, but it manifested itself here. If I was to go turn on the filter bar, not primed up the colours. I need to sort that. But if I turn that on, when there was a lot of records, you got a delay when the filter was being displayed, and then when I turned it back off again, you got the same delay, and it was quite noticeable. It was like a 2, 3, 4 seconds delay, which of course should not be correct. So did some digging, and yeah, basically when you turn the filter on, turn the filter off, it was passing through the calculate totals, which potentially it does need to do. It does need to recalculate totals, but it was calculating them for all the roles when we didn't even have total calculation turned on, which meant we've got a massive delay for no reason whatsoever. So that's been optimized. So that will be included in the next build. Okay. Okay, Roberto's got 2 questions regarding report control. So let's get that open. Where's Roberto? Hi, Roberto.
Hello. No, just really one question. I asked the question incorrectly last week, and I was asking. I was trying to sort on a particular. I did not say it correctly. I need to do a sort, but kind of a sort on a couple of fields in order. One of them is where there is a date of the last order and the name of the person that did the order or the company that did the order. So I need to actually sort on the date, a descending order on the date and ascending order on the name, so I can find things sort of quickly. So I was wondering, how do I know I can sort in one column by clicking on the header, but how do I combine a couple of fields to do a sort?
Okay, well, that's no problem. I mean, of course, you can do that. You can do it at runtime, of course. So we could say, let's say this is in date added order. So that's your first click. And that's ascending. And then hold down the control. Sorry, hold down the shift, and then it will add the second sort. And you hold down the shift to change that. Well, actually, I think once you've, that is correct. So hold down click the first column, hold down the shift, and while keeping the shift down, you can
click. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. It's very simple. I was wondering, okay, how the heck? So I appreciate that.
Okay, and
that's
if you
all
want
I needed. That's all.
Okay, well, if you wanted to apply a code, you've got a method called clear all sorts. I think it's clear all sorts or clear all sort orders. One of the two, I can't remember. You clear them first, which ultimately would get rid of any sort order. Then you'd call add sort with the column ID, and then and the second parameter is an A or a D for ascending or descending. So you would clear all sort, call it add sort for the date, and then add sort for the company name, and that would give you the same as the user clicking.
Thank you. That I appreciate that. That's all I needed to know. The particular methods I use.
Excellent.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Don't see any popping up. My phone's going, but I don't see anybody else. I will quickly take the opportunity to ask Steve. I'll give Steve a couple of pointers on the DockingPane. Steve, I don't know, sorry to put you on the spot. Just open the mic.
That's okay.
Okay. Just wondered, the disable, did that help at all?
Yeah, the changes we made on Friday, so far it seems to be working very well.
Oh, that's excellent. It's kind of the area where I suspected it would be. I did hope to actually send you a beta today, but I've had to, reset up Office, if you will, at home. So it's kind of cost me a few hours, unfortunately. But that's no problem. I will do it in the morning, first thing in the morning, and send it across to you. And that's for everybody else. That's an update to the DockingPane, which we're trying to desperately get to the finalize, the finish status, release status. One thing we know we've got to finish, and we can demonstrate it in here, is we switched parts of our Schedule It product. We used to have a task panel on the left, and you'll see now we've got basically a command bar, not just on the left, we've got a command bar top, on the left, and down at the bottom. So we can use the command bar at the bottom to basically interact with all the other products. But then we take we send our config into a task panel area. So all the configs are just together. And the only problem we know of with the docking pane now is one which is in progress, and it's regarding the closing. That's it. Yeah, sorry about that. So the only problem we know of, which is it's not a problem, we know of it, so it's the only job left before we get this released, is a couple of little tidy ups, and if I go into this and I haven't opened the pane, I can close and it will close. If I open a number of children, e.g. I will open procedures, status and types. Now if I press close, I have to close it once, twice, 3 and 4 times for the last. So basically, and we know of that, as we were working, it was basically a job left to do on the to-do list, if you will, and that's really to do with it passing the notifications through to all the active threads and so on. So once that is done, which of course we need to get this next feature out to the customers, so that will be done tomorrow as well. So that'll be very good. So you can expect the docking pane going gold literally any day, which I'll be long overdue and I'll be happy about. Steve, we'll just open the mic again now. I just cut it for the background noise. Is that okay? The background noise. Okay. Any other questions? It'll be a very quiet one, a short one. No. Give you all a couple of minutes, and if not, we shall wrap it up, and I shall see you next week. I'll be on the Wednesday one should anyone think of a quick question or so on. Yeah. No, be quiet. Okay, very good. Leo, expect the Clarion example. Expect the Clarion example in Clarion 8 tomorrow. Feel free to Skype me, and I'll just send it across to you. Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you all next week.